Yesterday's continuation of the Niue Legislative Assembly had the first motion submitted by Honourable Terry Cole. It received much discussion on the topic of reviewing the legislation that governs the adoption and land matters on the island. The motion submitted for discussion to the Niue Legislative Assembly to set up a committee and review the current land and adoption laws to prevent the destructive disputes going to the High Court. This was passed in the Assembly with a staggering support of the motion to establish a committee. Members of the House contemplate the reasoning behind the submission that is also affecting much of family disputes and conflicts in many of the communities on the island. The topic includes the adoption laws of the island that question the legality of land claims and entitlements by adopted children. Honourable Cole also submitted another motion that a structural report be carried out by a qualified civil engineer of the state of Whalefono building, especially the walkway around the top offices, before a serious accident happens. His last motion that the new Assembly had an independent identity and not controlled by the Premier's department. Honourable Young Vivian also introduced two motions, one that an allocation of $15,000 be allocated to village councils specifically for beautification of villages, and that this financial commitment to be placed in the 2013-2014 budget. Also a motion that the government assist with all villages to have 2 or 3 motels each. All these motions were endorsed and passed by the Niue Legislative Assembly yesterday. A 4-member survey team from SPC are on the island as a response to a request from the Department of Agriculture to alleviate concerns of an increase in bugs and diseases to food crops. The drought period the island experienced a few months ago contributed to an apparent increase in spread of mold, aphids, mealybugs, and the highland midgefly. We spoke with Tony Gunua today about the survey they are conducting.
The purpose of this survey is to record food crop diseases that affect food crops, insects that affect agricultural crops, and also record birds, what they call invasive species, including weeds. So that's why our purpose is to do that. And Niue has what they call a pest list database that records all the bad pests of crops. So in order for Niue to actually trade, exporting or importing, this pest list database is important when in the process of what they call pest risk analysis. So purposely, our main role is to update the records of pests that occur in Niue on agricultural food crops.
The team consists of a plant pathologist, entomologist, biosecurity officer, and plant morphologist to conduct extensive survey investigations into the extent of the pest risk management on the island. Over the past few days, the team have been busy going to various sites around the island.
During our last few days on the ground, we found that the number of mealybugs and scales have increased, and then there is a 3-way association. So when you have scales, the ants come into the picture. You find that ants transport all this around on trees. Okay, when ants move around on the plant, it leaves sugars, so the shooting mold comes in, and we find that this is happening on all the crops. And according to Brendan, the director of DEF, it was worse during the dry, but now it seems to go down. So this happens, and we have recently sat with the director, and during our process, the main thing here is to identify the scales and the mealybugs that are present on the crops here. And then following on that, we will look at bringing in small insects that control this. we advise against pesticide that is spraying, because you have a viable honey industry here. So we don't want, we would not advise farmers here to spray for the control of mealybugs and scales.
According to Niue Quarantine, during this initial survey, it appears that plants most affected are citrus plants, pineapples, avocados, and bananas. Local farmers have also been encouraged to inform the department if there are any suspected introduced pests or further concerns they can assist with. A more robust screening process has introduced Border Patrol officers to dangerous goods and departing passengers requirements at Hannan Airport. Chief of Police Tony Kossi Edwards said the exercise is to ensure his team refamiliarize their roles in identifying dangerous goods that departing passengers might carry on aircrafts. Chief Edwards said it is important for an officer to understand the protocols on what is classified as dangerous goods that are in line with international regulations. He said although officers have received their qualifications to attend to their roles at the airport, international regulations still require them to comply with these requirements every 2 years. As for passengers departing the island, an important information to remember is that if you are unsure of what to carry in cabin on an aircraft, you must seek assistance from Air New Zealand agents, Pelini's Travel. Niue Met Services and Police Unit held discussions yesterday morning on some of the changes due to implement early next year that will see Niue making decisions on how to issue appropriate advisories on tsunami for the island. Director of Met Services, Sioneta Sipulheta, said the new changes will mean stakeholders responsible for receiving and dissemination of tsunami information must decide whether the information is a warning or tsunami watch. The department also received much-needed products to assist with the changes. He said the 24-hour exercise only involved the police and Met Services, unlike the previous exercise where all stakeholders, including the public, were involved. International experts will arrive on the island in coming months to familiarize implementing agencies on how to determine each information received from outside regarding tsunami. Yesterday morning, as public servants arrived at work, they were surprised to find an email suggesting the Premier's internet email account has been hacked. The email sent claimed that the Premier was in the Philippines and has lost his wallet and valuables. It went on to ask for a loan of $2,850 that would be refunded. This follows another similar incident last year with another high-profile Niue official where the Niue High Commissioner to New Zealand also had her account hacked with similar requests. But it is clear that this email was not sent by the Honourable Premier as he is still on the island having an appearance at the Makefu show day over the weekend. His office has confirmed that he will not in any case make such requests and for people to disregard this mail. This latest scandal comes as a reminder to those who have email accounts to take more precautionary measures to secure their accounts and avoid malicious hackers trying to take money from any of your close contacts. Makefu Village went all out on Saturday to host the very first show day for the year, taking time to show village pride, showcasing all sorts of products. There was a great turnout from locals and visitors alike, purchasing all sorts of local delicacies with stalls running out of food. From mini golf to eating competitions to basket weaving, there was something for everyone to take part in. But it was the unga race that had many hurtled around to see the action, with the tiny ungas getting some coaxing to hurry along to the line. The youngsters and ladies of the village took to the stage to entertain the crowd. Opening number, duet from Kara and Fernando Boihanga showing off their ukulele skills. While Mia Talangi also wowed the crowd with some contemporary performing arts by the Piniamina ladies, decided to keep it local and somewhat traditional with their songs and dances. The dances are always a highlight where young people from within the village and those with Makipwi heritage come together to entertain. The day ended with a reminder of the importance of community cooperation in making such events a success. That's our news bulletin for this evening. Good night.